Good morning. My name is Madupe Olatunji, and I'm the project coordinator for our Commissions and My Fair webinar series. Shannon, I will be taking over Shannon today. And today's presenter is Steph White with the MI Department of Health and Human Services, and our ASL interpreter is Bethany James. The Michigan Women's Commission was created by statute in 1968 with 15 commissioners who are appointed by the governor to serve 3-year terms. The Women's Commission's duties include reviewing the status of women in Michigan, directing attention to critical problems confronting women, and recognizing women's accomplishments and contributions to Michigan. Because our most recent surveys and conversations with Michigan women found an overwhelming emphasis on economic security issues, Governor Whitmer moved our commission to the MI Department of Labor and Economic Opportunity to ensure productive collaborations that will benefit women's prosperity around our state. You could definitely learn more about Michigan Women's Commission at Michigan.gov/MWC. Last fall, the U.S. Department of Labor Women's Bureau awarded us a FAIR grant, and FAIR stands for Fostering Access, Rights, and Equity. And the purpose of the FAIR grant is to help women workers who earn low wages access their employment rights and benefits. Thanks to the FAIR grant, the Michigan Women's Commission is proud to launch a new monthly MR FAIR webinar series to share this information with women around our state. Each month, we will focus on a different benefit program or workplace right, such as today's presentation about Michigan's child care subsidy, or next month's presentation on Michigan Reconnect free community college tuition program, and other pathways to higher wages. So every webinar and related resources will be shared on our commission's website, and you can quickly access all of that on Michigan.gov/FAIR. I am pleased now to welcome you, our first MI FAIR webinar. Today's topic is Michigan's support for affordable, high-quality childcare through Child Development and Care Program. Before we get started, I want to remind you participants and let you guys know to turn on your closed captioning by going on the lower screen to the right where it says more, and it will give you an option where it says live subtitles. And use the chat box anytime you feel free to asking questions or you want to add your comments during the presentation. You will also be able to revisit the presentations once today's recording and slides are posted on our website, again, at Michigan.gov/FAIR. And now I'm excited to pass the mic to Steph White and with the MI Department of Health and Human Services. Thank you.
Thanks, Madupe. I appreciate it. Hello, everybody, and it's nice to be here with you. As Madupe said, the purpose of a lot of the work that we're talking about today is about economic empowerment, especially of women, and today, particularly for women with childcare responsibilities. Let me share my screen, and I will walk you through one resource we have available, which is a subsidy to help you get high quality childcare. Let's see if I can do this. Please let me know, Madupe, if there is anything that I should be aware of with this presentation. And for those of you who are watching, if you want to move the screenshot of the speakers off to the left side of your screen, it might make it easier to see both the speakers as well as the screens. So the Child Development and Care Subsidy. I want to focus on why this is not just called child care. The goal of this program is not only to provide support for working mothers who need child care in order to return to the workforce, advance their education, and advance their economic stability, but also to provide development, early childhood development for the kids in your care. So the focus of the subsidy that's available is on high quality, affordable, and accessible early childhood development opportunities. So I'll give you a quick run through of how to apply for the subsidy, and then we'll talk a little bit more in depth. It is a multi-step process. Step number one is you as the caregiver must qualify for the subsidy. And in order to do so, the easiest way to do it is through the My Bridges app. I assume many of you are familiar with My Bridges, but if not, you can see the link on this page. It's simply Michigan.gov/MyBridges. Through that portal, you can apply for many support programs that the state offers, not just the child care subsidy, but also food assistance, housing assistance, and other programs that are available for your support. You can also, if you're not familiar or don't have a desire to work with a electronic application, you can also download a paper application through the Michigan.gov/childcare website. I want to take a moment to point out this website, Michigan.gov/childcare, is the home of all the information that we're going to go over today, where you can find answers to many of your questions. So if there's anything that comes up that you're unsure of, Michigan.gov/childcare will be a good place to start in answering those questions. So after you have applied, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services will either call you or set up an appointment with you in person to interview and make sure that you are qualified. And we'll go over what qualifies you for the subsidy in more detail in a minute. And then while you're going through that personal qualification, the other part of this process is to find a provider who qualifies to receive the subsidy. So most of the providers who receive this subsidy are institutions that have been registered with the state of Michigan and have been rated as a high quality provider. So those providers are ones that provide more enrichment and education activities, who go through a licensing process and have a quality control process of their own. You can find many of these providers, though not all of them, at the website on your screen, greatstarttoquality.org. And once, let me see if this, yeah. So once you identify a provider that meets your needs, is in your location, provides the hours, and has a slot for your child, both you and the provider have to co-sign on the application form, or provider verification form listed there, DHS 4025. And that way, you show the state that there's been a match made between yourself and that provider. Step 4, you might have to provide more verification. For anybody who's been through the process of receiving some sort of subsidy from the state, you're probably familiar with the process of just verifying that you have a need and that you are who you are and where you live, et cetera. This process can be difficult, and for some folks, for many folks, it's not so hard. But if you do need assistance, we'll talk to you a little bit later about some local community groups that can help you pull all your resources together and get through this application process. After you've applied, then you'll get a notification telling you about your eligibility, and the provider you selected will also receive that notification that they've been approved for this subsidy. So let's go through a little bit more detail of this process. So parents can apply for like I said, through the child care program in 2 ways: the online application and the printed paper application. If you choose the paper application, you can print it out, fill it out, then you can mail it, or fax it, or physically bring it into one of our Michigan Department of Health and Human Services offices located around the state. Both of these application processes, both the paper and through MyBridge's application, the app online, allow you the opportunity to apply for cash assistance, food assistance, Medicaid assistance, or emergency relief funding that you might need. So when you're filling that out, I recommend that you take a look and consider what else you might need. As I said, if you have difficulty in navigating this application process, you want somebody to, answer some questions and help you make sure you've got all your ducks in order, then on the MyBridges app, you will find a place where you can connect with a navigator. These are community organizations all over the state for which there are over 1,000 of these institutions who have signed up to be your local community-based assister in helping you navigate these applications. So once you click on the button, search for community partners, it will find a list of potential partners for you in your geographic area. When you are scrolling through MyBridges, just look for the picture on your screen that helps you find that button. Okay, so who qualifies for this subsidy and what are the valid reasons that will make you qualified? There are two basic reasons. One is employment and employment-related activities, and the other is education and education-related activities. So one of the requirements, though, is that each parent in the home has a valid need reason. It's an activity that causes the parent to be unavailable to provide care for the child. Breaking it out a little bit more detail, 4 reasons that the program breaks it down into is employment, and that can be your self-employment if that applies to you. Also high school completion programs, but it also can include GED, ABE, ESL programs. Family preservation, which is participation in any sort of a treatment program for physical, mental, emotional condition. So if your family's engaged in family preservation activities and you can't provide for childcare, you can qualify for the subsidy. And then other activities include college classes that are below the graduate level. So if you're working on your associate's or bachelor's degree, and employment training programs such as cosmetology school and other sort of trade programs that require training and education in order to gain employment or improve your employment. All of those reasons can qualify you for the child development subsidy. The other qualification that's needed is that you must be income eligible. Recently, the state of Michigan approved a $1.4 billion subsidy into childcare. This is in response to the fact that we know many people with childcare responsibilities, especially women, have had a difficult time re-entering the workforce after the COVID pandemic was over. And so through this subsidy, we're able to provide the subsidy to families who make even more money than were qualified in the past. It is now available to people who make up to 200% of the federal poverty line. The chart on your screen will show you what that includes. This is effective as of July 3rd, so it's hot off the presses. So the blue column marked entry shows the maximum monthly gross income amount where a family can qualify. It's adjusted for your family size. So an example, at application, a family of 3 can have monthly gross income of $3,838 or less to initially qualify. Once you're approved, then the family of 3 can increase their monthly gross income up to $5,563 and remain income eligible. So that's quite a benefit. Of course, one of the reasons we want to provide this subsidy is to help people increase their education and skills training in order to increase their employment. Therefore, if you are able to take advantage of this, gain a promotion, gain, a higher income, you won't be automatically then disenrolled from this subsidy. The eligibility scale, this income scale, it's adjusted frequently based on state legislation and annual data updates from the federal government. So like I said, this is set at 200% of the federal poverty line now, and it will possibly change over time depending on how many people apply for this and are granted the subsidy. Said in another way, there's a set amount in our pot to go out to distribute to families. If many people apply and take advantage of this program and the pot shrinks, we may have to lower the poverty line or the income eligibility scale to eliminate some of those higher income families. And of course, I say higher in quotes, still not high in any real means. So saying that just means I encourage you to apply now. If you think you might qualify and are interested in it, I encourage you to qualify and apply now so that if there is a reduction in the income level, you will already be in the system. The current scale also shows the family contribution amounts, which are called co-payments, and those are temporarily waived from November 7th through September 23rd of 2023. So after September of 2023, the program may go back to requiring the family to contribute some amount towards the child care. Next slide, just checking the time here. Verifications. As I said, many folks will be familiar with the process of having to just provide certain verifications in order to make sure that they that all the information that they presented in their application is correct and can be verified. You have 10 calendar days to provide requested items if the state needs a verification. Therefore, I highly recommend that you work with a community navigator and collect up all the documents you think you might need using the checklist that's provided, and make sure you have everything in order before you make your application, just to make it go as smooth as possible. Again, finding licensed providers, the place to look to begin is the greatstarttoquality.org, and eligible providers can include licensed community centers or child care centers, but also family homes and group homes. There is an ability for you to get the subsidy for family, friends, and neighbors who are not licensed. But if you're a licensed exempt provider, you have to be enrolled through the Michigan Department of Education. Now, the advantages of licensed providers is that they have to get a criminal background check, they get health and safety training, they provide child development training, and they're monitored. However, we know many people rely on their family, friends, and neighbors for childcare, and that's why there is a provision for licensed exempt providers. When you're looking for those licensed providers, going back to those bigger, more formal childcare centers, the Great Start to Quality resource centers and greatstarttoquality.org is a good place to start your search. Again, there are so many providers in the state that you can't guarantee. I can't guarantee that every qualified provider is listed on this website. They do try to keep it up, but it changes quite a lot. So you may know through your own community someone who doesn't appear on this website. And if you start on the website and do not find somebody that's close to you, you should look other places. Use the traditional searches and networks to find others that may qualify but aren't listed. You should also call if you know of a provider who you'd like to use that's not listed. Call them and ask them if they perhaps are qualified and just haven't been listed, or if they're in the process of qualifying and you might be able to take advantage of them. There are resource centers around the state to help you. Again, there's a phone number and a link to provide where you can get to those resource centers. And we will, as Modupe said at the beginning, we'll provide these slides and links to these resources after our presentation. Okay, so as I said, there are licensed exempt providers. And for those folks, they can be like a related adult who provides care in their own home. So these are referred to commonly as the family, friend, or neighbor. And they are often relied upon when we need childcare that is outside of non-traditional, or during non-traditional hours, overnight, weekend care, etc. But in order to qualify for the subsidy, a licensed exempt provider has to enroll with the Michigan Department of Education. So related providers are grandparents, aunts, and uncles who don't live in the home with the children. Cousins, FYI, cousins are not considered related and must be enrolled as unrelated. An unrelated adult who provides care in your home, in the child's home, can also qualify. To enroll, you have to make an application, undergo background checks, interview, and some training. Once they're enrolled, the licensed exempt providers will complete annual ongoing training, and the unrelated providers will have an annual monitoring visit in the child's home where all the care must be provided. So again, related and can provide the care and qualify for the subsidy if the child is cared for in that relative's house. So your child goes to grandma's house during the day, you can get a subsidy for grandma and give some extra income for the service she provides. Unrelated adult, a babysitter you find in the neighborhood, must provide that care in your home. So they can't be operating a child care center in their own home. If that is the case, in order to qualify for the subsidy, they have to get licensed. But if they're providing that care in your home, they can count as licensed exempt and still qualify. So once you've made this match, you've qualified for the subsidy and you found the provider, you fill out the assignment form and turn that into the state so that we just know who is caring for the child and who qualifies for the payments. So the parent section of the Child Development and Care website at, again, Michigan.gov/childcare has a lot of information and resources to assist with this. The parent section is found on the site by scrolling way down towards the bottom, and you'll see what you'll see here on the right of your screen. Here is the resources and contact information for more resources to answer a lot of your questions. And we have a few minutes now. I'm going to stop sharing and turn it back to Modupe to see if there are some questions that people asked. It looks like there were some questions in the chat. Modupe, do we have any questions?
I got you. Thank you, Steph. And right now, this will be the time for our Q&A. If anyone has any questions or comments, you could put them down in the chat section.
I saw those comments. I thought they were questions, and
they're
just used providing extra resources. That's great.
Alrighty. So what if someone finds that they're ineligible for child care subsidy, like they have too much household income? Are there other options offered by the state?
There's a program called the Tri-Share program. Maybe I'll ask Madupe to put the link to that information.
Yes.
The Tri-Share program is a program that splits the cost into three parts. The family pays part, the provider pays part, and we ask employers to pay part. So if you don't qualify for this subsidy, you may be able to work out the Tri-Share situation to make childcare more affordable for your family. And yeah, Madupe did put the link in the chat, and we'll provide that as well after this conversation has ended.
And again, anyone could feel free to ask any questions in the chat section. But I will ask one more. So how long does it take to submit a subsidy application? And how long does it find out? Will they find out if it's approved?
You will be able to find out within 30 days whether you've been approved or not. Some of our offices actually around the state of Michigan have begun what they call Project One Day, in which you hear back from our offices within 1 day that we've got your application and schedule the follow-up conversation with you. And so in those cases, and if all of your verifications of employment and income and et cetera that you need are all in order, it can take much less than 30 days. However, you will find out within 30 days. Oh, you know what? One really important point that I wanted to mention. In the past, these subsidies, when you qualified for the subsidy, you qualified kind of on a month-to-month basis, but that's no longer the case. And this is a big benefit for both families and for providers. In the past, providers were hesitant to take on families who qualified for the subsidy because they were afraid that something would make the family lose their subsidy and then the provider would miss out on that income. But however, with this new program, you now qualify for the entire year. So once you've qualified, because let's say you have a job, you qualified for the subsidy, you enrolled your child. If you lose that job, you still have that subsidy for the rest of the year. The child care provider can rely on that income and on that funded slot for the rest of the year. Ideally, you will use that time for new employment, right? Or maybe it is to go back to school. Alternatively, if you qualify for the subsidy because you've enrolled in a training program and that training program ends, your child care subsidy does not end. It continues for the rest of the year. Therefore, you have transition time to go from the training program to apply for and hopefully find employment, and then you can requalify. So that's something that's important, a big benefit and change that we heard that people really needed, and the state made it happen.
Thank you so much. All righty, guys. Again, thank you, Steph, for letting us know more about child care subsidy. And this will be our first launch for our webinar series. And again, like Steph said, the slides will be posted at our website, Michigan.gov/fair. Our next MI Fair webinar will focus on the Michigan Reconnect program and will take place on Wednesday, August 10th. Details coming soon to the Commission's website and social media. And again, thank you everyone for joining us, and more information will be posted again on our website, so be looking out for that. And everyone have a lovely rest of your day.